Rudi Gernreich has always felt like one of those people who existed slightly out of time, someone who never quite belonged to any one place, but somehow made the world bend to his vision. Born in Vienna in 1922, he grew up in a Europe that was tense and dangerous for a Jewish family, and then everything changed overnight when his family fled to Los Angeles to escape the Nazis. Imagine arriving in a completely foreign city, carrying the weight of loss and upheaval, and somehow turning that experience into this bright, electric energy that would define your life. That kind of intensity, that mix of displacement and curiosity, seems to pulse through all of his designs. He studied dance first, and I love thinking about how that shaped the way he saw the body. Clothes to him were never meant to trap or constrain. They were meant to move, to breathe, to respond to the person inside. That awareness, that sense of motion, is what gives his work a life of its own even today. When he started showing his collections in the 1960s, America was just starting to wake up from the very buttoned-up, post-war conservatism of the 1950s. And Rudi, with his Californian energy, felt like a breeze of fresh air. He was playful, bold, and endlessly curious. He experimented with fabrics that seemed alien at the time: shiny metallics, vinyl, unusual synthetics, fabrics that caught light in strange ways or shifted with movement. He loved geometry, lines that intersected in unexpected ways, cuts that teased the eye. Some pieces feel almost like architectural studies turned into garments. You look at them and think, yes, I could wear that, but also, I've never seen anything like this before. He had this way of combining intelligence with whimsy, seriousness with mischief, and it made his clothes utterly compelling. One of the things that fascinates me about Rudi is how much fun he clearly had with his work. His collections often feel playful, sometimes even a little mischievous. You get the sense that he was experimenting constantly, testing the limits of what clothes could do, and not taking anything for granted. He worked with cutouts, unusual drapes, and bold shapes, but always with a sense of elegance. Nothing felt accidental. There was always a precision, a clarity, even when the designs were pushing boundaries. And he loved to involve people in that experimentation: models, photographers, collaborators who could bring his vision to life. Peggy Moffitt, his muse, became inseparable from his aesthetic. She had this almost otherworldly presence that made his clothes look alive, not just garments on a hanger. The way she moved, posed, and inhabited his designs brought the energy of the clothes fully into the world. You can almost feel their collaboration when you look at those photographs. It's dynamic, electric, and unforgettable. Gernreich also had this brilliant way of thinking about clothing that made it feel modern without feeling cold. He wasn't interested in luxury for luxury's sake, nor in over-the-top glamour. His approach was much more about observation, about how people live and move in the world. He designed for bodies in motion, for people who wanted to express themselves without shouting or following rules. Even his most minimal pieces had personality. There's this quiet audacity in his work. You don't notice it at first, but it's there in every seam, every cut, every drape. His creations make you think about how clothes interact with life, how they can lift your mood or make you feel a little braver, a little more yourself. And Rudi's life outside fashion was just as vivid. He was openly gay in a period when that was dangerous, and he carried himself with a kind of calm confidence that clearly informed the way he designed. He wasn't trying to please anyone, and he wasn't constrained by societal expectations. He had this ability to see things differently: how a dress could float, how a sleeve could move, how a garment could suggest freedom without being literal about it. You can imagine him in his studio, surrounded by unusual fabrics and sketches pinned haphazardly to the walls, moving through ideas and experimenting with shapes, laughing at a piece of fabric that didn't cooperate, and then finding a way to make it sing. There's a sense of joy in that process, a sense that he loved the experimentation itself, not just the result. And that's something that really comes through when you look at his work. Even the smallest details in Gernreich's designs are worth noticing. The way a metallic fabric catches the light, the curve of a hemline, the unexpected drape of a sleeve. These are things that make his clothes feel alive. There's an intimacy to his work, a feeling that he was thinking not just about fashion as a public spectacle, but about the private experience of wearing clothes, how they feel on the body, how they change with movement. He had this way of imagining a woman or man walking down the street, interacting with light and air, and then designing with that vision in mind. And yet, his designs never feel self-conscious or forced. They feel effortless, smart, and full of character. Looking at his collections now, you realize how ahead of his time he really was. Things we take for granted in modern fashion: gender-neutral silhouettes, body-conscious shapes, minimalist futurism, were already being explored by him decades ago. And unlike some designers whose work can feel dated, Rudi's pieces retain a vitality. You can still imagine someone wearing them today and feeling both chic and liberated. There's a timeless quality in his understanding of movement, comfort, and aesthetics, combined with a playfulness that never feels heavy-handed. What makes Rudi Gernreich so compelling is that you can sense the person behind the clothes. He was intelligent, mischievous, daring, and observant. He noticed details that others ignored, from the way fabrics behaved to the way bodies moved through space. He combined that acute observation with creativity and a willingness to experiment, and the result was fashion that felt alive, modern, and exciting. He was constantly thinking ahead, imagining what clothing could do, and finding ways to make it real. Even now, decades later, his vision resonates because it's rooted in a human understanding of freedom, movement, and style, not in trends or gimmicks. In many ways, his story is just as fascinating as his work. A refugee, a dancer, a visionary, a man who refused to be confined by rules or expectations, he carved out a space in the world where his ideas could flourish. He collaborated, experimented, and played, and the clothes he left behind are full of life, curiosity, and wit. Rudi Gernreich reminds us that fashion can be playful, intelligent, and full of personality, and that a single person with a clear vision can influence generations in ways that are subtle, lasting, and inspiring. You can almost feel him in every fold, seam, and drape. Someone who noticed the world carefully, loved it, and then imagined it a little differently. And that's why, even now, decades after his work first appeared on runways, it still captures the imagination, sparks curiosity, and makes you look twice at what clothes can really do.